everybody, my name is Rosalie and welcome back to my channel, back to Chubby. Today's another Do It With Me weight loss video, so I will be meal prepping with you, but I think I'm going to do things a little bit different this week. Before I get to that though, I just want to talk about my little mini rant on Friday. As a lot of you know, on Friday I gained a few pounds over the course of a few weeks when I felt I shouldn't have, and so I was just frustrated and having a bad day. But as a lot of you in the comments suggested, I just took a break, looked at everything I'd been doing, tried to figure out what happened when I broke that plateau and why it might be happening again. Well, last week I did an all vegan week for the first time, but because it's easier and more palatable to grab fruit and just eat it plain than it is to get vegetables and just eat them how they are, I think I had way too much fruit last week. Normally, in the past several weeks when I had broken the plateau and I was losing some weight, I was coming in at probably around 150 to 200 carbs in a day, but I was having so much fruit last week, in addition to like the spring roll wraps, that I was close to 300 carbs last week. And so I feel like that might have had something to do with it. I'm not someone who thinks that you should cut out all carbs entirely, and I don't usually advocate for any kind of extreme dieting. I'm one of those people who feels like you should just do something balanced, try and be healthy, do something sustainable. My body just doesn't usually feel good if I'm at either end of the spectrum, like not enough carbs, too many carbs. I usually just feel better when I'm balanced, and I feel like that, for me, that's going to be what I'm able to do for the rest of my life. So, that being said, this week I am going to try and do a lower carb meal plan, and I don't mean like keto or even anything close to it, but I am trying to cut the carbs down from like 250 to 300 to like 100 to 125 carbs this week. So let me talk about how meal prep's going to be a little bit different. Rather than showing you what I'm making for the whole day, I'm going to just focus on one healthier recipe, and my reasoning for that is multifaceted. First of all, I'm one of those people where if I find something that works for me, like hard-boiled eggs or an apple or whatever, I'm probably going to keep repeating that, because to me, especially since I'm trying to turn food into something I do just to fuel my body rather than something I'm doing because I enjoy, if I find something that works, I'll probably just keep repeating it over and over, and I'm just going to keep cycling through the same few things. But rather than doing that, I've been trying to find a lot of different recipes to sort of keep the videos interesting and making more work for myself, and I think I need to just figure out what's working and stick with that. But obviously, just like anybody, I don't want to eat the same thing all the time, so I will be changing it up every week, but it's not going to be fun for you to watch me just like put yogurt in a container every week or something, and it's not really going to be fun for me to just be like, here's an apple, here's some eggs, here's some tuna. Like, nobody cares. If you guys are like me, then you need interesting things or new things, new ideas, rather than just the same old, same old. So I think for a while I'm going to try that format where I try and find some healthy recipes that you guys can adapt to whatever kind of diet you're on. And when I say diet, I don't just mean like a weight loss regimen. I mean whatever kind of dietary restrictions you have in place or whatever kind of dietary needs you have. When I say diet, I mean the kind of food you eat, not just a thing to lose weight. So that being said, this week's meal I am making because I could do quite a bit at once, and I think it's something that's easily adaptable. So if you're doing keto, you could prepare it one way. If you're vegetarian or vegan, you could prepare it another way. And if you are just looking for something easy and fairly balanced, you can do it that way as well. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm doing this week. This week we're going to be having fajitas for dinner. So while my oven is preheating to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm going to go ahead and chop up some vegetables. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know I'm not crazy about bell peppers, but Josh likes them and I like roasted onions, so I'm willing to give it a shot. After I've gotten my vegetables chopped, I'm going to go ahead and throw them into a bowl along with a tablespoon of olive oil and then toss them so that they get really well coated. Then I'm going to move them onto a baking sheet and put them in the oven for about 10 minutes. While my vegetables are roasting, I'm going to grab the bowl I used to toss them in, add another tablespoon of oil, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of ground black pepper, half a teaspoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of coriander, and a little bit of cayenne pepper just to make it a tiny bit spicy. I could only find coriander seeds, so you might have to grind them up a little bit beforehand. Once I've got that all mixed up together, I'm going to set it aside and clean and cut some chicken breast into strips. I'm going to throw it into the bowl with the spices, make sure everything gets really well coated, and by now it should be time to go ahead and take my vegetables back out of the oven. On the same baking sheet, I'm going to spread out my chicken. You can use whatever kind of meat you want or forgo it entirely and just do some more vegetables. But I'm going to spread it out evenly over the baking sheet, get some of those spices on the vegetables, and make sure that everything is coated and spread out, and then put it back into the oven for about another 15 to 20 minutes until the chicken is all the way cooked through. Okay, so there's a few things I really like about this recipe. First of all, other than a pan, a bowl, a knife, and a cutting board, you really shouldn't have any dirty dishes. Also, you can really customize this for whatever kind of diet you're on. So if you don't want to have any meat, you can feel free to leave it out entirely, load it up with a lot more vegetables. You can do any other kinds of vegetables you want. I think maybe some strips of carrots or tomatoes would be great with this. You can serve it in tortillas like this, or you can save yourself about 50 grams of carbs and not use those at all. You can serve it over some Spanish rice if you want something that's a little bit less processed, but you still want some starch in there. You can do pretty much whatever you want to this, and it still is going to follow the same steps. You can probably also do this recipe without oil or with a little bit more oil. If you do it without oil, you are going to have to mix up the spices and then coat them by hand, so just keep that in mind. I did keep the oil in, but I also cut out some that they suggested you use to mix in with the spices, just because it felt like a lot to me. But I am replacing calories from carbs this week with calories from fat and protein more, so I'm okay with it. I also cooked more onions than a lot of people probably would, because I'm going to eat more onions than I do bell peppers. One thing I do want to note real quick is that the amount that I cooked here is enough for 2 days for Josh and I, so 4 servings total, but the amount of bell peppers I cut up is actually enough for 8 servings. So I actually only cooked half of the vegetables I cut up and the other half are in my fridge. So it's also really easy to sort of prep ahead of time if you are more interested in cooking things fresh rather than cooking them and storing them, but you still want to get some of the prep work out of the way. This is a good meal for that as well. I'm a believer in trying things that you don't like again every now and then. For example, I used to hate shrimp and now I love them. So I'm gonna try the bell peppers. So far I've mostly stuck to onions though. I hope that you guys found this recipe helpful, and I hope this format is okay for you. Also, for those of you who are curious about the actual nutrition of the meal, I'm gonna go ahead and put that up on the screen here, as they are according to MyFitnessPal. Both as I prepared it in that beginning shot with tortillas and cheese and Greek yogurt and stuff, and just as the fajita stuff itself, so just the bell peppers and onions and chicken and spices. They're very, very different, and again, that is for basically a quarter of what I cooked here. As far as cost for the meal, depending on where you live and what you do and don't include, it's probably going to be about $10 to $15. Where I live right now, 1 green bell pepper is about $1. All of the other bell peppers are about $1.50 each. Onions, you can get a whole bag for like $1.50. Chicken was about $5. Tortillas add another few dollars. So it really just depends on what you want to include and what you don't. If you're just going the vegetable route, you will probably have to get more vegetables, so it's going to make up in the cost difference. If you don't have all the spices, that'll probably add a couple another dollars, but once you've got them, you can use them for a long time. So anywhere from about $2.50 to $4 per serving. It's pretty affordable. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Let me know in the description box down below how you feel about just going a little bit more in depth onto one healthy meal versus just repeating a lot of stuff. Like, how many times is salad gonna be interesting? It's just not, I don't think. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about it. Also be sure to subscribe if you want to see more meal preps in the future, or if you want to see me weigh in on Friday and hopefully break this new plateau that I'm on. Also, as a reminder, you guys can find me on social media with the username BackToChubby, all one word. Also in the description box down below, you can find my P.O. box if you'd rather send me a letter or a postcard. I like to hear from you guys. Even if I can't reply to all of your comments, I do read every single one of them. And thank you guys for being so understanding when I just had to whine for a few minutes last week. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not glad that other people are unhappy. As I'm sure most of you guys know, it just helps to hear that you're not alone sometimes. Also in the description box down below, if you guys are interested in trying the BetterHelp service that I usually use and will hopefully use again here in just a couple weeks, there is a link in the description box so that you guys can try that out as well. I hope wherever you guys are, you are safe and happy and healthy. Remember to just keep trying the best you can. And if, like I was on Friday, you're having a bad day, remember it's just temporary. You'll feel better soon. Just stick with it. I will see you guys on Friday. Bye.